On the Money Show, we like to stretch ourselves, and so I've been sent to stand in the middle of a field of mealies, or a land of mealies, as we might say in South Africa. These are no ordinary mealies. These are genetically modified mealies. They're produced by a company called De Kalb, which is part of Monsanto. And Pieter Basson works for De Kalb in South Africa. Explain to me where we're standing and what this patch of mealies is, because you actually planted these from seeds in November last year.
Yes, what we try to demonstrate here is what we call a stress wheel. You can see that the plant population increase as we go to the middle of the field.
So in other words, the plants are closer together, they're more dense in the land. Okay.
And what we try to illustrate is what this specific hybrid will do under certain stress conditions, even if it's a wider row width or a narrower row width. And we can see in the crop development what will happen as plant density increase, and do we keep this prolificity as the plant density increase.
Okay, so what you're basically doing is showing off your seeds to farmers and saying, if you buy our seeds and you plant them with this sort of density, this is the sort of yield you're likely to get under the following conditions. You can almost forecast it. It's scientific agriculture.
Yeah, we do a lot of work at this point of time with field stress and research what we're doing in this type of field in different plant populations, and we measure the moisture contents in the soil, and we look at the fertilizer program as well to see at where's the curve where we can maximize the yields.
There are 7 billion people and climbing in the world. Populations are exploding. There is no real growth in arable land. The only opportunity humankind has got to feed itself in the future is getting a higher yield from the crops that it plants. Is there any other way than doing it through genetically modifying plants?
Well, we need to make sure that the food, the maize that the farmers, people buy, and what they use to consumption for food, that it is of a high standard and a high quality. And that's part of the genetically modified crops, is to make sure that we don't have any diseases in here because of secondary and damage on worms. And through that we can give a good quality of grain for the consumers. On the other hand, we need to increase yield to feed the population in the future, and we must make sure that we get the best yield of a plant as this is, and with no diseases and no
I mean, there was the scourge of armyworm, and there was a real concern that it was going to come down into South Africa. It wiped out crops north of us. And what was interesting, it was the genetically modified crops that were resistant to armyworm. And there's lots of criticism of genetically modified crops. People are frightened of what happens in the modification process. But it makes them more drought resistant. It makes yields better. And if it makes them pest resistant, people are getting fed.
Yeah, that's one of the things, you know. If you talk about the armyworm in South Africa, we've seen that the armyworm, the gene that is in the plant, it shows resistant. But at this point of time in South Africa, we can't say it's a fact. There's still a lot of research that needs to be done so that we can say this is a fact. Yeah.
From a mealie land in Bothaville, Pieter Basson, thank you very much. He speaks on behalf of De Kalb in South Africa, division of Monsanto. I'm Bruce Whitfield in my kind of heaven.